Alright, let's go over this one more time. You pilot a capital class cruiser, the pride and joy of the fleet, the hope of Terrans everywhere in the Gold League that like to turtle, right?
Yes, Commander.
Okay. And because of that, your ship has an incredibly high amount of health and armor. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So, if you get attacked by anything at all, even a small individual marine, what do?
Abandon ship.
The Battlecruiser is the Terran's capital ship and can be a fearsome force against both ground and air targets. They are made from a starport with a tech lab, but also require the presence of a fusion core on the map. Although they do have a very fast attack speed, their main strength is their durability, with an incredible 550 health and a base armor value of 3 unupgraded. They can be quite difficult to take down. Before I talk about the usage, I want to mention their 2 abilities. The first is Yamato Cannon, which must be researched via weapon refit from the fusion core. Once activated, this ability is targeted on an individual unit or structure. After the 2-second charge up, the Battlecruiser will fire on the target, dealing 240 damage. Yamato Cannon has a 71-second cooldown. The second ability is Tactical Jump. No research needed. The ability is targeted onto a location. Any location, actually. Vision is not even required. After 1 second, the Battlecruiser will warp away from its current location and arrive at the targeted location 4 seconds later. Note that the enemy can see your warp destination if they have vision in that area. The cooldown on Tactical Jump is also 71 seconds. In my experience, there are 3 primary uses for battlecruisers. The first is as an opening build, very commonly used against Zerg. Opening with 1 or 2 cruisers can create a lot of chaos for the opponent, since they are so durable. You can use Tactical Jump to get to your opponent quickly, but you should strive to keep the battlecruisers alive. This opening is great for dealing some damage to your enemy early, and will likely force a serious anti-air response, such as Corruptors. Once your damage is dealt, this opening can easily transition into a normal bio or mech game. The second use is as part of an ultra late game army composition, and usually is seen in Terran vs. Terran. The warp ability is great for mobility and late game harassment, and the battlecruisers do fairly well in direct combat. As with the previous use, it is great for forcing out specific counters from your opponent, which I will discuss momentarily. The third use is not Indigos approved, but I do have to acknowledge its existence. During my stay in the lower metal leagues, I had the pleasure of facing mass battlecruisers multiple times. So, you can theoretically just sit on 2 bases, turtle behind your walls and your siege tanks, and build way too many battlecruisers. Unless your opponent is both aware of this plan and knowledgeable about counters, you will probably do well, sadly. Now for the fun part. Let's recap. BCs have a fast attack speed, high health, high armor, and impressive abilities. But they are also slow moving, have a short attack range, and relatively lengthy cooldowns on said impressive abilities. They require little control and thrive in combat against low damage units. In TVT, the answer to BCs tends to come down to when you want to deal with them. Personally, I don't want to simply let someone mass up 20 BCs. If you encounter them in the early game, they should still be in low numbers, so you can likely get away with Marines. But you need to work your way towards serious anti-air if they seem committed. In the later stages of the game, Marines really do not counter BCs that well. Vikings are ideal, as they work excellently against BCs with a higher damage output and an incredible range. Thors can work also, but they're slow moving and vulnerable to Yamato cannon. Plus, due to the Thor's cost, they just don't trade as efficiently as Marines or Vikings. In any case, I want to give a shout out to Ravens as well, which have saved me many times thanks to Interference Matrix. If you can disable the Battlecruisers as the fight starts, you will prevent them from not only attacking, but using their abilities, both Yamato and Tactical Jump. They will have no hope. Protoss players, although it is a bit rare to see BCs in the matchup, it certainly can happen. A handful of Stalkers are your go-to defense in the very early stages of the game, but your real counters will come from the Stargate. Void Rays with their prismatic alignment ability work splendidly, but you can also build Tempests. If you go the Tempest route, it's super important to make something that gives them vision. You want to try and make use of the Tempest's massive range. Leverage that strength. Get Observers or get Oracles to use the Revelation ability. The Void Rays will do better in a direct engagement against the Battlecruisers, but Tempests can poke and harass the Terran fleet from a much safer distance. So you should choose whichever you feel fits your playstyle more. Zergs, I can empathize with the feeling that fighting BCs is highly frustrating. It's important to have plenty of queens for defense and spores to protect your mineral lines or key structures. If the BC build looks committed, then you absolutely need to get a Spire. Hydralisks counter BCs like Marines do. Not very well as the game goes on. Instead, I recommend Corruptors. One nice thing about the Corruptors is that if you swing too heavy in building them, you can send them to enemy bases and use their Caustic Spray ability to spit on important structures. You want to keep your opponent distracted. If it looks like Mass BCs is the name of the game, then you'll need spellcasters to help out your army. Vipers can use Abduct to isolate individual cruisers, and Infestors can use Neural Parasite to nullify some of the units in a fight. If you're like me and you're not comfortable with controlling that many different types of units, then I recommend picking one spellcaster to make and just practicing with it. Personally, I'm more partial to the Viper style.
Yes, Commander.
Between the high price tag, the crazy abilities, and the over-dramatic captain, battlecruisers can be tons of fun. Whether you use 1 or 2 in an opening build, or make 30 to have a box art type of army, they can allow for some interesting avenues of combat. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.